morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we are bringing you the FAQ, the official rulings from Unbroken Bonds. Now, I did show you the rulings from Unified Minds a couple of days ago, and I told you then, we missed some. Nowadays, I'm doing the FAQs for every set, showing you them, giving examples, explaining them fully when they're released. But I missed a few sets that are legal now and will be legal next season as well. So we're going through them. I did Unified Minds the other day. Their feedback was generally excellent, and people have said, yeah, well, we do want more of these. Just as a very quick note here, yes, these are older sets. These FAQs did come out a little while ago, but let's be perfectly clear, these are still very relevant rulings, and like we'll see with Gastly, I'm willing to bet there's a few at least that you weren't completely aware of. So CHARJABUG then. CHARJABUG is one of my very favourite Pokemon that we've had released in the Sun and Moon era recently. It's got a phenomenal ability that lets you attach it to a Vikavolt and a Vikavolt-GX as a double lightning energy. Cool! What about Honchkrow-GX's Ruler of the Night ability? That is the one that prevents players from playing Pokemon tools, special energy, or stadiums from their hand. Yeah, that would stop you playing CHARJABUG, because CHARJABUG, when attached, is a special energy, so you attach it as a special energy, which means it would be stopped by Honchkrow. Dedenne Change. This is Dedenne's phenomenal ability, with which I'm assuming most of you are rather familiar at this stage. You discard your hand, you draw 6 cards. Can you use it if you have no hand to discard, if you've got 0 cards in hand? I'm assuming by now this is one you guys do know the answer to. It is yes. The reasoning here is very interesting. A hand of 0 cards is still a hand of cards. It's just a hand of 0 cards. So you do discard your hand. You just discard your hand of 0 cards. How cool. Metapods emerge. This is a really fun one. Metapod tends to get a lot of rather interesting cards. This is the ability that says once during your turn you may flip a coin. If head, search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Very nice ability, helps you to get rolling. If I use Caterpie's Pupate Poker Power, that is basically the same Poker Power for Caterpie, you can just flip a coin, and if heads, you search your deck for a Metapod and evolve up into it. Can you then immediately use Metapod's Poker Power to go straight into a Butterfree in the same turn? Yes. Yes, you can. As an interesting side note here, the new Caterpie and Metapod, which are going to be coming in our next set, have the same ability as the ones from Flashfire, which is to say you can evolve them straight away. You don't get to search, but you don't have to flip a coin. And they're actually over in Japan at the moment, making the Butterfree from Unbroken Bonds see a fair bit of play, which has never been the case so far with this Caterpie and Metapod. How about CELESTEELA-GX's ability, Force Canceller? As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, prevent all effects of your opponent's GX attacks, including damage, done to your Pokemon. What happens if my opponent uses VENEMOTH-GX's 10-card return attack? That is a GX attack that says shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 10 cards. The answer is it goes fine. Because Celesteela's ability prevents stuff done to your Pokemon, but it does not actually stop anything else happening, like the player just shuffling a hand and drawing 10 cards. Now, it does do 60 damage, so that 60 damage would be blocked, but the ruling is about shuffling cards, so, you know, there we go. I don't know if I said this at the top of the video, so let's make it super clear now. These rulings are posted by the lovely folks over at PokeGym, and they are official rulings, and we love PokeGym. PokeGym are lovely. So Sandile then, a Pokemon we don't get to talk about very much. It's got the lovely ability Intimidating Fang. Fun fact, not the only Sandile in Unbroken Bonds. The other one's got grandiose fangs. But anyway, Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks do 20 less damage. Does that apply to bench Pokemon as well? Yes. Their attacks do 20 less damage to your Pokemon, your active, your bench Pokemon, and if it's an attack that does damage to their Pokemon, then they do less damage as well with that one. So if, for argument's sake, they had a Stunfisk attacking, and you had a Sandile in the active, Stunfisk wouldn't do damage to their bench Pokemon, because it only does 10 to 1 Pokemon, and Sandile reduces the damage by 20. There we go. Fun times. Melmetal's Metal Eater. Melmetal, of course, very fun Pokemon, lovely ability, whereby you may discard a metal Pokemon from your hand and then heal 100 damage. Can you use it to discard a metal Pokemon even if Melmetal's not damaged? Let's say you want to draw more cards with a Lily, for argument's sake. Yes. And the reason is, if we look at the wording in the card, once during your turn, you may discard a metal Pokemon if you do heal 100. So you discard a metal Pokemon, then you look to heal 100, and if there's nothing there to heal, well, you've already discarded the Pokemon, and it doesn't say that you can't discard unless you heal. How about Gastly Swelling Spite? Now, this is one of my favourite rulings we've done in all of these FAQs. You see, Swelling Spite, when this Pokemon is knocked out, search your deck for up to 2 Haunter, put them on your bench, and shuffle your deck. So then the question comes, well, hang on a second, what if that Gastly was your final Pokemon? Do you get to search for the 2 Haunter and you haven't lost the game? Or does the ability not work because you've already lost the game? And the answer is, the ability totally works. You see, what happens is, Gastly is KO'd, your opponent takes a prize card, then you search your deck for 2 Haunter and put them on your bench, at which point you'll realise that you've got no active Pokemon, but you do have bench, so one of them would have to then move into the active. And then between turns, you check to see if anyone's got a win condition. But by the time you check to see a win condition, you've already got the Haunter out. Cool. Moving into attacks then, how about the Greninja with Bring Down? Now, this is the attack whereby you KO the Pokemon in play with the lowest remaining HP, other than, of course, this Pokemon. What if one of my Pokemon has the lowest amount of HP? Will that mean that Greninja KOs my own Pokemon? Yes. Yes, it does. And your opponent takes the prize cards. It KOs the Pokemon with the least HP remaining, not your opponent's Pokemon with the least HP remaining. While we're talking Greninja, how about Greninja and Zoroark? Dark Union GX. You put 2 in any combination of Darkness Pokemon GX and EX from your discard pile onto your bench. And then if you then have 1 extra energy attached, you get to attach 2 energy cards from your discard pile to each Pokemon that you put into play in this way. Alrighty then. So, what about if you put Honchkrow GX or any other evolution Pokemon? Can you do that? Because they're not basics. Yes. You are recovering a Pokemon, you are not necessarily recovering a basic Pokemon. My favourite use for this, Incineroar. If an evolution Pokemon has been put directly into play using this, can you attach Triple Acceleration Energy to it? Yes. Triple Acceleration Energy works for any evolved Pokemon. It's still an evolved Pokemon, we essentially call it an unevolved evolution Pokemon. I think that's the correct term. DEWGONG's Dual Blizzard. This is the one whereby for free colourless energy, you discard 2 and then do 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Is it 60 to each of 2 Pokemon, or 60 total split between 2 Pokemon? It is 60 to each. 60 to one, 60 to another. Don't forget about weakness and resistance. How about that there Volcanion and its high heat blast? This is one that for 2 fire energy does 50 damage, and if you've got at least 4 fire energy in play, you do 110 damage. Does the 2 fire energy for the attack cost of Volcanion count towards the 4, i.e. is it this 2 and 2 more, or is it this 2 and 4 more? Yeah, it totally counts. You're good. You just need 2 extra energy, and Volcanion has seen a lot of play since it came out, so this is one of those ones that I'm assuming most of you have come across before. Malamar's Hypnotic Rain. 1 darkness energy, your opponent reveals their hand, you may discard a Pokemon you find there, and use one of that Pokemon's non-GX attacks as this attack. Do you need the required energy? No. No, you don't. And the general rule with this is it will tell you when you need the energy. So something like the Nihilego from Lost Thunder just lets you copy an attack regardless. But if you look at something like Mewtwo and Mew, and we have a look at the specific wording on the card, it says you still need the necessary energy to use each attack. The general rule of Pokemon is if you need the energy, they will tell you. Although, as always, you still need to do the discarding, or anything else that it tells you to do. How about Meowstick's Perplexing Eyes? This is the attack for 1 Psychic, 2 Colorless Energy, 70 damage, and the defending Pokemon's weakness is now Psychic until the end of your next turn. Does it change my opponent's active Pokemon's weakness before I do damage? Because bearing in mind you are a Psychic Pokemon, so then you'd be doing 140. No. The rule is always you do damage, then you do the effects. You do damage, then it turns their weakness into Psychic, but by which point you've already done the damage. If my opponent has no weakness and you use the attack, will I do extra damage on my next turn due to weakness? Yes. If they have no weakness, then you give them a Psychic weakness. There we go. 2 times weakness as always. Muck and Alolan Muck's Severe Poison Attack. This is the one where for 1 Psychic and 2 Colorless Energy, you poison your opponent's Pokemon and they take 8 damage counters between turns for poison, rather than the usual 1. If I had used Muck and Alolan Muck Severe Poison Attack, and in the next turn use Koga's Trap, do they still place the extra poison damage? No. And this is actually one that surprised me a little bit, though it does make perfect sense. Koga's Trap, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned. But what it's basically doing is putting a new poison over. You're replacing the 8 times poison with Muck and Alolan Muck with the regular poison from Koga's Trap. To put it another way, don't play Koga's Trap after doing this. If I use a trainer card to switch my active Pokemon, but Dust Island is in play, does my new active Pokemon still take the 8 damage, or the 8 damage counters, or does it go back to regular poison? And to this one, we need to go to the wording of Dust Island, one that caused a little bit of confusion when we first saw the Japanese scan. It says, the new active Pokemon is now affected by that special condition, which is to say, the exact same poison, the 8 times poison, not regular poison. Think about it as Muck and Alolan Muck are putting on a special kind of poison, which will stay on with Dust Island, but could be replaced by regular poison. Now, I know I've got at least 1 follower on Twitter who adores Pyukumuku, so it's kind of nice now that we get to have a little bit of a chat about Pyukumuku. We're talking specifically about Surprise Fist. 1 water, 2 colorless energy, 60 damage. You and your opponent play rock, paper, scissors. If you win, this attack does 120 damage. What if rock, paper, scissors ends in a tie? Rock, paper, scissors can't end in a tie. You keep going until there is no tie. There's no such thing as a tie in rock, paper, scissors. Is it okay to roll the dice to randomize my rock, paper, scissors choice? No! Rock, paper, scissors is a game of strategy. You must not appear to be randomizing your choice by any method. And this is extremely important. This was a rule that actually came down in 2008. And was extremely important for Team Galactic's Wager, a card that did see a lot of play, which said that each player shuffle their hand into their deck, you play rock, paper, scissors, and the person who wins draws up to 6 cards, the player who loses draws up to 3 cards. We have seen epic rock, paper, scissors battles happening at the World Championships. As a fun little side note, over in Japan, they don't roll dice or flip coins to decide who goes first at the beginning of their game. They actually play rock, paper, scissors. It is a game of strategy. You cannot sub it out for a dice roll. Very important. And you can be disqualified if you're seen to be randomizing this. That's my little thing here. It's not said in the FAQ, but it could be akin to trying to kind of randomize. You're not allowed to do so. Can I use dice or cards to indicate my throw? You may not use dice to indicate your choices, as it is too easy to manipulate the dice while it is covered. The requirement for rock, paper, scissors cards are that they must have identical backs, that they clearly say rock or paper or scissors on the front, and that all themes on the cards be appropriate for a Pokemon event as determined by a head judge. Again, this rule came down in 2008. So yes, you absolutely can use cards as long as they follow those rules. Is rock, paper, scissors played by pumping my arm 2 times then throwing my choice, or pumping 3 times in a row? We have an official ruling on this as well. According to the current Play Pokemon TCG Tournament Rules and Formats document, the procedure is a 3-count priming and then the simultaneous throw of the choice. For example, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, with the choice thrown on shoot. There's an official ruling for how we play rock, paper, scissors, as I suppose there probably has to be. Now, we mentioned 10-card return on Venomoth earlier. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 10 cards. Can you use it if you have no cards in your hand? Yes, and the ruling is just like we said about with Dedenne. You do have a hand. You have a hand of 0 cards. So what you do is you shuffle your hand of 0 cards into your deck, and then draw 10 cards. Moving on into trainer cards, Beastbringer. Beastbringer is that tool that says if you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, your opponent's active as a Pokemon GX or EX, and you knock it out using an Ultra Beast attack, you get to take 1 more prize. What if you're playing in a pre-release with 4 prize cards, and it's attached to an Ultra Beast and you get a KO on an EX or a GX? Nothing. Because the card reads, if you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, not if you had the same number you started with. So we talked about Dust Island earlier, but there's another question we have here. If my opponent uses Pokemon Catcher or Escape Rope while Dust Island is in play, is my new active Pokemon still poisoned? And the answer is no. It says whenever either player switches their poisoned active Pokemon with one of their benched with the effect of a trainer card, the new active Pokemon is affected by that special condition. Don't think I actually said specifically what it did earlier, so now we know. The key is the poison only stays on if the poisoned player plays a trainer card to switch their own Pokemon, and that's not happening if your opponent is playing a trainer card to switch the Pokemon. Green's Exploration, phenomenal card. Lets you search for any 2 trainer cards as long as you have no Pokemon in play with abilities. If I have a Pokemon GX with abilities in play and Power Plant is in play, Power Plant says that each EX and GX in play has no ability, can I now play Green's Exploration? Yes. Power Plant doesn't turn off abilities, although I say that as does a lot of other people. What it actually does is it removes abilities such that they no longer have any abilities. And if they've got no abilities, you can play Green's Exploration. Now, Lieutenant Surge's strategy was always going to cause a little bit of confusion here or there. If you are behind on prizes, you may play free supporter cards, including Lieutenant Surge, i.e. you play Surge, and then you're allowed to play 2 more. If you've already played a supporter, can you then play Lieutenant Surge and 1 more, because you played 3 in total? No. You have to play Lieutenant Surge, and then that activates the you may play free. Otherwise, what happens is you play a supporter, you then go to play Lieutenant Surge, but you've already played a supporter this turn, so you're not allowed to. You don't get to the effect of Surge until after you've played it, and you're not allowed to play it if you've already played a supporter. Okay, well, can I play multiple Lieutenant Surges to play more than 3 supporters? Nope. No matter how many Lieutenant Surge, you can play 3 Lieutenant Surge in 1 turn, but they would be your 3 supporters. And the deal here is Lieutenant Surge's strategy doesn't say you may play 2 extra supporters. It says you may play 3 supporters. It gives you a number. That's the number you're allowed. Cool. Red's Challenge. Red's Challenge is a phenomenal card. It lets you discard 2 cards from your hand and then search for any card. Can you fail the deck search? Nope. You gotta search for something. The deck in Pokemon is not public knowledge, so anytime you're searching for a specific kind of card, let's say you're playing Quick Ball to search out a basic Pokemon, you can fail it and go, oh, I've got no basic Pokemon in my deck. You're not allowed to check, the deck is private. But Red's Challenge lets you search for any card, and you can see that there are cards in the deck, so you're not allowed to fail it. Welder. Now, this shouldn't surprise anyone given the huge amount of play that Welder's actually seen. You attach up to 2 fire energy from your hand, draw 3 cards. Do I still get my energy attachment for the turn? Yes, you do. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the frequently asked questions from Unbroken Bonds. I know we're a little bit late on these, but like I said in this video and the previous one, now I'm looking out for the FAQ when I'm going through it when published. At the time, I was missing the FAQ, I wasn't bringing it to you, and although some things like the Welder ruling, we all knew the Welder and Dedenne rulings, how many of you were absolutely 100% certain about that awesome Gastly ruling? And how many of you really knew the official rules on rock, paper, scissors? I'm willing to bet not everyone listening knew the official rules on rock, paper, scissors. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'd like to know what you think about these rulings. I'd like to know which of them were surprising, which of them seemed fun, which of them are just a bit weird. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.